Man, I love sitting around and playing video games all day. What?
43 comments of people wanting to know more about the Fusion Pro controller.
Let's settle it then.
Hi there guys, it's Aaron here from Console Deals, back again with another on-camera video where I'm here to talk to you once again about something controller related. I know I've been talking about controllers quite a lot on the channel recently, but you know, people just keep releasing them, so we're going to talk about them, and you guys seem to love it too. In particular, there's been, you know, quite a large subsect of people, of subscribers to the channel, that have taken great interest in this bad boy, the Fusion Pro PS4 wireless controller from the folks over at PowerA. Now, I think it was a couple of weeks ago where I posted my general impressions, my written review, and of course the unboxing itself. You can find that in this video here, like I always do, always pointing to that video recently. But obviously I had a look in the comments, and quite a lot of you still have some questions. So that's what I thought I would go ahead and address today. So one thing I will say is that if this is the first video relating to the Fusion Pro that you're watching, go back, watch that video, because I do indeed go into quite a lot of stuff about, you know, is it worth purchasing, what sort of capabilities does the controller have, is it compatible with PS5, which console, yada yada yada. So what we're going to be getting into here is just a short Q&A where I address some of your questions, which is tends to relate to the more nitty gritty kind of stuff. So that said, let me grab the old iPad, because some of us use our phone as a camera here on YouTube. Okay, so comment number 1 comes from none other than YouTube user Lethal Zones. It's quite a long one. It says, the back button attachment is too bulky for me. I need to use my ring finger and it gives me RSI symptoms. I'm sorry to hear that. I cannot press triangle with pointing my finger when I use my middle finger for the back buttons. Is the Fusion Pro great for people with smaller hands? So when it comes to that, I would say that the Fusion Pro is definitely bulkier compared to the DualShock 4. I believe I addressed that in the original video. So obviously I've got quite large hands, so I can't speak to it, that question from a personal perspective, but all I will say is that if you struggled with the DualShock 4, getting a good amount of usage for it, if your hands tended to ache or get fizzy after using that for a long amount of time, I don't think the Fusion PS4 Pro wireless controller, try saying that when you're drunk, is going to be any better. It's not necessarily going to be any worse, but it's slightly bulkier, particularly when you're trying to reach for the triggers, which are particularly hefty. So unfortunately, I don't think, if you've got smaller hands and you're struggling with the DualShock 4, I don't think it's going to solve any of those issues. So apologies for that. Okay, comment number 2 comes from Morgan James. Quick question, I use the R1 and L1 to shoot and aim, the bumpers. Thank you for clarifying. How does this one compare to the PS4 bumpers, as I find them perfect for that matter? Right, so that's quite interesting as a standalone question, really, because I know back during the PS3 days, quite a lot of developers tended to map aim and shoot onto L1 and R1, because just the R2 and L2 triggers were absolute ass on the PlayStation 3, if you pardon my French. So how do these compare? I would say, you can hear that little clickety right there, that you definitely get a similar sense of feedback. It might not be as much as the traditional DualShock 4. I tend to find that the triggers kind of disappear a bit easier into the actual controller itself compared to the Fusion Pro. But having said that, there is a good click to them. So if you're aiming and shooting with the L1 and R1 button, I think you'll do just fine. Slightly spongier, but you'll definitely know when it's happening. So yeah, not too much to worry about there, hopefully. Next one comes from Carlos N. The R1 and L1 bumper click like a mouse, or are they like the DualShock on PS4? So I think we've pretty much just covered that question there. They're very similar to the DualShock 4. In terms of clicking like a mouse, good question. Let me just click my mouse. Actually, do you know what? I would say maybe it is a bit closer to clicking like a mouse. So good job on picking up on that one. So yeah, there you go. That goes for the previous question as well. Question comes from TV Tvesverb, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, apologies in advance, asks, are the thumbstick modules also swappable? So are the thumbstick modules swappable? Of course, I believe I addressed this in the original video. You can swap the thumbstick modules themselves. So you take the faceplate off of the controller, like so. Oh, very stiff. It reveals, obviously, the innards of the controller itself, and then these are just easily detachable. There you go. And there's different sizes as well that come with it. I think it's 1 or 2 different sizes, which will extend the height of the analog sticks, so you can increase the sensitivity. So they are swappable. I'm not too sure in terms of like third-party components or whether or not PowerA provide some alternate options themselves, but the thumbsticks are swappable. Next question. Theriac1975 says, thanks for the video. Can you unbind any of the buttons? Now, in terms of like when he says unbinding, binding is a term that I tend to associate when you want to sort of like remap buttons in game, but I'm presumably he's talking about whether or not you can detach and, I don't know, sort of like swap around any of the face buttons or even the triggers. But unfortunately, no, the buttons just stay where they are. They've got a good sense of feedback to them. You can't swap these around. You can't make the square button the circle. I don't honestly know why you would, but maybe I'm missing something there. Let me know in the comments below. But no, unfortunately, they can't be unbinded or unbound. Isn't English a fun language? Here we go. So Yo Simple asks, do you know why my headset won't work with the controller when it is in Bluetooth mode? It works fine when it's wired. Now, I wasn't actually sure about this one, didn't get around to testing that. I'll firmly hold my hands up back during the initial unboxing, something very specific to be fair. So I directed them to PowerA support, maybe they would know. But apparently the mic does only work when it's wired, I'm afraid. So something to bear in mind. If you want to buy this and you want to use it in wireless mode, you cannot, unfortunately, benefit from headset support. But having said that, you know, the PS4 and PS5 do have a USB-C excuse me, port on the front. So if you've got a wireless headset, you just use that, and I think it should be fine. Here we go. Next question comes from Josh Dunkalf. Josh Dunkalf. Can you remove just 2 of the rear paddles? This is an interesting one. So by default, I play with the paddles off because I find them very annoying. Don't tend to play competitive all that much, but I still like to benefit from the rubberized grip and just general good sense of feel. Now, at the moment, I've not got the back button attachment on the back of the controller, as you can see, but I can show you separately, as I believe I did during the initial unboxing video. Here is the back paddle attachment. So this will just neatly slide onto the back of the controller, lock in, and as you can see, it comes with 4 rather than 2, which in my experience is quite rare, because even the official PS4 back button attachment that's only made for the PS4 only comes with 2 back buttons. But apparently there's a demand there for 4. We want quick access to 4 functions: sliding, throwing grenades, whatever else in Call of Duty. So to answer your question, no, you cannot remove 2 of these, but I tell you what you can do, and this is going to blow your mind now because it blew my mind. You can actually extend them so they're out of the way. It's a little bit finicky, and I guess you kind of have to do it with the top 2. And they'll naturally want to sit in line. But no, unfortunately, you can't remove 2 of the back paddles and just use 2, but you can sort of like get them out of the way. I don't know, maybe you want to, you know, actually. I tell you what, there you go. I've just removed 2 of them, and you can just use 2 of the back paddles. PowerA, I've thought of everything. Discard the last 30 seconds of everything that I just said. You learn something new every day. Okay, moving on to the next question. I bought this, this is from Bam Margiela. I'm a big fan. I bought this controller to play on PC, but the touchpad does not work. It's not recognized by Windows. Does your touchpad work on PC? Great video, by the way. Well, thank you very much. And long story short, no, the touchpad doesn't work, unfortunately. So you can't, at least with most of the games I've tried, you can't map it to... There's no in-game option to map that button to anything. It's not recognized by most PC games on Steam, unfortunately. And while I understand that that's sort of like a bummer, particularly if there's like a third-party game on PS4 that does have a function for the center touchpad, it's not going to work on your PC games, unfortunately. So moving along to the next question. I seem to have lost it. Okay, and the next question comes from Ibnu Dio Guang Prakasa, which is a very exotic name. Congratulations to you. They ask, can you turn the PlayStation on with the PlayStation button? And is it compatible for PlayStation 5 also? So to just quickly answer the latter question, yes, as stated in the previous video, the Fusion Pro controller is indeed compatible with PlayStation 5, but you can only use it for PlayStation 4 games. So nothing like Demon's Souls or Astro Bot, games that really rely on that haptic feedback, you won't be able to play it. PlayStation won't let you play it using a third-party controller, is my understanding. The first part of your question, though. Yes, so handily, obviously the PlayStation button here is so good on the DualShock 4 and indeed the DualSense. pardon me, because you can turn on the console from a distance, and I for one was surprised that it also works with the Fusion Pro. So if you like to keep your console a good distance away from yourself when you're playing, as I imagine most people do, you never have to get up and turn it on, because you can just bang that button there. Like if I were to press it now, you'd hear my PS4 turn on in the other room, and it turns on your console. So you're absolutely fine there. Thanks for the question. The next one, Julian Rayner asks, does it work on the PlayStation 5 with PS4 games like Warzone? So as I've just stated in the previous question, in the previous answer, yes, indeed, you can use the Fusion Pro on PS4 games played on your PlayStation 5. Simples. And then Glock Henry asks, can you put on Control Freaks? Now, at first I had to research what Control Freaks were or was, didn't even know, wasn't aware of the brand, but as I understand it, it's kind of those silicone covers that you can put on your analog sticks to sort of aid yourself and have a better grip. So I haven't actually tried it, but let's find out. Got the controller here. There we go, thanks for waiting. So here I have, it's not from Control Freaks, I believe I got this free with a magazine subscription, but I imagine it's going to work fine with the Fusion Pro. So let's pop this on here, see if it'll squeeze on. And yeah, just like it should, most thumbstick sizes, at least radius wise or diameter even, are the same. So you can indeed use any, third party latex or silicone grips on your thumbsticks. Simples. And then finally, the last question comes in from Comrades, who simply asks, is it worth buying or... Is it worth buying or... Comrades, I can't answer that question for you, unfortunately. All I can do is give you my honest opinion, which I did in the previous video, and obviously I'm doing for this one right now. So I don't know, do you want to play professionally on PS4 or PlayStation 5 with PS4 games? Are you seeking a higher quality Premier controller, or maybe you want to get an advantage in PvP? If so, then I think it's worth considering. But as for directly telling you, is it worth buying or... I can't unfortunately do that, but they sent me one, I really like it, and I've been using it to this day. Hopefully if you do chance it, you'll find the same. So I think that just about does it, guys, in terms of the questions you guys had and have been leaving in that previous video relating to the Fusion Pro PS4 wireless controller. I want to thank you for being so active in the community and taking such an interest in that video, as indeed you do in others, because it makes what I do so much more fun, so much more easier, and makes waking up always a joy to do this job. So anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you found something interesting in this video. Like this video if you want to see more videos like this, and indeed subscribe to the channel as well, because PowerA have, funnily enough, recently announced that a new Fusion Pro controller will be coming out, this time for the Nintendo Switch. So hopefully we'll have a review of that and an unboxing, of course, later on, going live on the channel. But until next time, thank you for watching and happy gaming.